Hello friends, welcome to EPG Pathshala. I am Dr. Ajay Solkhe, presently working as Assistant Professor, University School of Management, Kurukshetra University, Kurukshetra, Haryana. Upon completion of the module, the student should be able to understand the very concept of maternity benefit, situation under which it is granted, period of benefit, terms and conditions regarding availment of benefit, various authorities involved in the administration of this act, aims of this act. The Maternity Benefit Act aims to regulate the employment of women employees in certain establishments for certain periods before and after childbirth and provides for maternity and certain other benefits. This is an act to regulate the employment of women in certain establishments for certain period before and after childbirth and to provide for maternity benefit and certain other benefits. The objective of maternity leave benefit is to protect the dignity of motherhood by providing the complete health care to the woman, her child, when she is not able to perform her duty due to her health condition. In the modern world, as the participation of women employees is growing in every industry, so the need of the maternity leave. Other benefits are becoming increasingly common. Major provisions of the Maternity Benefit Act 1961. Very first of all, the applicability of the Act as stipulated in Section 2. It applies in the first instance to every establishment, being a factory, mine, or plantation, including any such establishment belonging to government, and to every establishment wherein persons are employed for the exhibition of equestrian, acrobatic, and other performances, wherein 10 or more persons are ordinarily employed, provided that the state government may, with the approval of the central government, after giving not less than 2 months notice of its intention of so doing, by notification in the official gazette, declare that all or any of the provision of this act shall apply also to any other establishment or class of establishment or class of establishments, industrial, commercial, agriculture, or otherwise. Employees which are entitled to the benefit under the Maternity Benefit Act 1961. Any woman employee, whether employed directly or through any agency, who has actually worked in the establishment for a period of at least 80 days in the 12 months immediately preceding the date for her expected delivery is entitled to receive maternity benefit. Where the factory or the establishment is governed under the provision of the ESI Act, but the woman employee is not qualified to claim Maternity Benefit Act under Section 50 of the ESI Act, or her monthly wages exceed Rs 3,000, then such woman employee shall be entitled to maternity benefit under the Maternity Benefit Act only. What is maternity benefit? Maternity benefit comprises of compensation for the period of actual absence of a woman employee due to her pregnancy. Maternity benefit is payable for the period of her actual absence immediately preceding and including the day of her delivery and for the 6 weeks immediately following that day at the rate of the average daily wages or the minimum wages as specified or Rs 10, whichever is highest. If a woman employee does not avail 6 weeks leave preceding the date of her delivery, she can avail of that leave following her delivery, provided the total leave period does not exceed 12 weeks. If, however, a woman dies during this period, the benefit is payable only up to the day of her death. The average daily wages here means the average of the wages payable to her for the days on which she has worked during the period of 3 calendar months immediately preceding the day from which she absent herself on account of maternity. Under Section 4 of the Maternity Benefit Act, employment of or work by women prohibited during certain period rules has been stated. No employer shall knowingly employ a woman in any establishment during the 6 weeks immediately following the day of her delivery or her miscarriage. No woman shall work in any establishment during the 6 weeks immediately following the day of her delivery or her miscarriage. Under Section 5, the rules relating to the right to payment of maternity benefit has been stipulated. Subject to the provisions of this Act, every woman shall be entitled to and her employer shall be liable for the payment of maternity benefit at the rate of the average daily wage for the period of her actual absence immediately preceding and including the day of her delivery and for the 6 weeks immediately following that day. No woman shall be entitled to maternity benefit unless she has actually worked in an establishment of the employer from whom she claims maternity benefit for a period of not less than 160 days in the 12 months immediately preceding the date of her expected delivery. The maximum period for which any woman shall be entitled to maternity benefit shall be 12 weeks, that is to say 6 weeks up to and including the day of her delivery and 6 weeks immediately following that day. In nutshell, with a view to encourage planned parenthood, the Act provides for 6 weeks leave with wages in case of medical termination of pregnancy, grant of leave with wages for a maximum period of 1 month in case of illness arising out of medical termination of pregnancy or tubectomy, and 2 weeks leave with wages to women workers who undergo tubectomy operation. A female employee can ask for light work for 1 month preceding the 6 weeks prior to her delivery or during these 6 weeks if for any reason she does not avail of her leave. Under section 5 subsection A, rules relating to continuance of payment of maternity benefit in certain cases has been stipulated. Every woman entitled to the payment of maternity benefit under this Act shall, notwithstanding the application of the ESI Act 1948 to the factory or other establishment in which she is employed, continue to be so entitled until she becomes qualified to claim maternity benefit under section 50 of that Act. Section 5, subsection B, payment of maternity benefit in certain cases. Here, every woman who is employed in a factory or other establishment to which the provisions of the Employees State Insurance Act 1948 apply, whose wages for a month exceed the amount specified in clause B of clause A of section B of that Act, and who fulfills the conditions specified in subsection 2 of section 5 shall be entitled to the payment of maternity benefit under this Act. Under section 6, notice of claim for maternity benefit and payment thereof. Any woman employed in an establishment and entitled to maternity benefit under the provisions of this Act may give notice in writing in such form as may be prescribed to her employer, stating that her maternity benefit and any other amount to which she may be entitled under this Act may be paid to her or to such person as she may nominate in the notice, and that she will not work in any establishment during the period for which she receives maternity benefit. In the case of a woman who is pregnant, such notice shall state the date from which she will be absent from work, not being a date earlier than 6 weeks from the date of her expected delivery. Any woman who has not given the notice when she was pregnant may give such notice as soon as possible after the delivery. On receipt of the notice, the employer shall permit such woman to absent herself from the establishment until the expiry of 6 weeks after the day of her delivery. The amount of maternity benefit for the period preceding the date of her expected delivery shall be paid in advance by the employer to the woman on the production of such proof, and may be prescribed that the woman is pregnant. The amount of maternity benefit for the period preceding the date of her expected delivery shall be paid in advance by the employer to the woman on the production of such proof, and may be prescribed that the woman is pregnant, and the amount due for the subsequent period shall be paid by the employer to the woman within 48 hours of production of such proof as may be prescribed that the woman has been delivered of a child. The failure to give notice under this section shall not disentitle a woman to maternity benefit or any other amount under this Act if she is otherwise entitled to such benefit or amount, and in any such case an inspector may either of his own motion on an application made to him by the woman order the payment of such benefit or amount within such period as may be specified in the order. Under section 7, payment or maternity benefit in case of a death of a woman provisions has been discussed. If a woman entitled to maternity benefit or any other amount under this Act dies before receiving such maternity benefit or amount, or where the employer is liable for maternity benefit under the second provision 2 subsection 3 of section 5, the employer shall pay such benefit or amount to the person nominated by the woman in the notice given under section 6, and in case there is no such nominee, to her legal representative. Under section 8, payment of medical bonus. Every woman entitled to maternity benefit under this Act shall also be entitled to receive from her employer a medical bonus of 250 rupees if no prenatal confinement and postnatal care is provided for by the employer free of charge. Section 9. Rules regarding leave of miscarriage has been mentioned. In case of miscarriage, a woman shall, on production of such proof as may be prescribed, be entitled to leave with wages at the rate of maternity benefit for a period of 6 weeks immediately following the day of her miscarriage. Under section 10, Rules regarding leave for illness arising out of pregnancy, delivery, premature birth of child or miscarriage has been specified. A woman suffering illness arising out of the pregnancy, delivery, premature birth or child or miscarriage shall on production of such proof as may be prescribed be entitled in addition to the period of absence allowed to her under section 6 or as the case may be under section 9 to leave with wages at the rate of maternity benefit for a maximum period of 1 month. Under section 11, nursing breaks. Every woman delivered of a child who returns to duty after such delivery shall, in addition to the interval for rest allowed to her, be allowed in the course of a daily work 2 breaks of the prescribed duration for nursing the child until the child attains the age of 15 months. Dismissal during absence or pregnancy. Under section 12, where a woman absents herself from work in accordance with the provisions of this act, it shall be unlawful for her employer to discharge or dismiss her during or on account of such absence or to give notice of discharge or dismissal on such a day that the notice will expire during such absence or to vary to her disadvantage any of the conditions of her service. It is stipulated that the discharge or dismissal of a woman at any time during her pregnancy, if the woman but for such discharge or dismissal would have been entitled to maternity benefit or medical bonus referred to in section 8 shall not have the effect of depriving her of the maternity benefit or medical bonus. Any woman deprived of maternity benefit or medical bonus or both may within 60 days from the date on which the order of such deprivation is communicated to her appeal to such authority as may be prescribed and the decision of that authority on such appeal whether the woman should or should not be deprived of maternity benefits or medical bonus or both shall be final. No deduction of wages in certain cases. Under section 13 it has been still stipulated that no deduction from the normal and the usually daily wages of a woman entitled to maternity benefit under the provisions of this act shall be made by reasons only of the nature of work assigned to her by virtue of the provisions contained in subsection 3 of section 4 or the breaks for nursing the child allowed to her under the provision of section 11. Authorities and their powers. Section 14 clearly specifies the appointment rules regarding the inspectors. The appropriate government may by notification in the official gazette appoint such officers as it thinks fit to by inspectors for the purpose of this act and may define the local limits of the jurisdiction within which they shall exercise their function under this act. Under section 15, the powers and duties of inspectors has been specified. An inspector may, subject to such restrictions or conditions as may be prescribed, exercise all or any of the following power, namely, he can enter at all reasonable times with such assistants, if any, being person in the service of the government or any local or other public authority as he thinks fit, any premises or place where women are employed or work is given to them in an establishment for the purpose of examining any registers, records and notices required to be kept or exhibited by or under this act and require their production for inspection. He can examine any person whom he finds in any premises or place and who he has reasonable cause to believe is employed in the establishment. He required the employer to give information regarding the names and addresses of the women employed, payments made to them, and applications or notices received from them under this act. He can take copies of any registers and records or notices or any positions thereof. Under section 16, rules relating to inspectors to be the public servant has been specified. Here it is clearly specified every inspector appointed under this act shall be deemed to be a public servant within the meaning of section 21 of the Indian Penal Code. Under section 17, power of inspector to direct payments to be made. Any woman claiming that maternity benefit or any other amount to which she is entitled under this act and any person claiming that payment due under section 7 has been improperly withheld may make a complaint to the inspector. The inspector may of his own motion or on receipt of a complaint referred to in subsection 1 make an inquiry or cause an inquiry to be made and if satisfied that payment has been wrongfully withheld may direct the payment to be made in accordance with his orders. Any person aggrieved by the decision of the inspector under subsection 2 may within 30 days from the date on which such decision is communicated to such person appeal to the prescribed authority. The decision of the prescribed authority where an appeal has been preferred to it under section 3 or of the inspector where no such appeal has been preferred shall be final. Any amount payable under this section shall be recoverable as an area of lane revenue. Under section 18, forfeiture of maternity benefit has been specified. If a woman works in any establishment after she has been permitted by her employer to absent herself under the provision of section 6 or for any period during such authorized absence, he shall forfeit her claim to the maternity benefit for such period. The aggrieved woman may within 60 days from the date on which the order of such deprivation is communicated to her appeal to the prescribed authority, and the decision of the authority on such appeal shall be a final one. The acts which constitute misconduct are willful destruction of employer's goods or property, assaulting any superior or co-employee at the place of work, criminal offence involving moral turpitude resulting in conviction in a court of law, theft, fraud or dishonesty in connection with the employer's business or property, and willful non-observance of safety measures or rules or willful interference with safety devices or with firefighting equipment. Abstract of act and rules thereunder to be exhibited. Under section 19, an abstract of the provisions of this act and the rules made thereunder in the language or languages of the locality shall be exhibited in a conspicuous place by the employer in every part of the factory or the establishment in which women are employed. Registers. Under section 20, every employer shall prepare and maintain such registers, records and muster rolls, and in such manner and form as may be prescribed. Rules regarding offences and penalties. Penalty for contravention of act by employers. Under section 21, if any employer contravenes the provisions of this act or the rules made thereunder, he shall be punishable with imprisonment which may extend to 3 months or with fine which may extend to 500 rupees or with both. And where the contravention is of any provision regarding maternity benefit or regarding payment of any other amount, and such maternity benefit or amount has not already been recovered, the court shall in addition recover such maternity benefit or amount as if it were a fine and pay the same to the person entitled thereto. Under section 22, penalty for obstructing inspector. Whoever fails to produce on demand by the inspector any register or document in his custody kept in pursuance of this act or the rules made thereunder, or conceals or prevents any person from appearing before or being examined by an inspector, shall be punishable with imprisonment which may extend to 3 months or with fine which may extend to 500 rupees or with both. Under section 23, cognizance of offences. No prosecution for an offence punishable under this act or any rule made thereunder shall be instituted after the expiry of 1 year from the date on which the offence is alleged to have been committed, and no such prosecution shall be instituted except by or with the previous sanction of the inspector. Protection of action taken in good faith. Under section 24, no suit, prosecution or other legal proceeding shall lie against any person for anything which is in good faith done or intended to be done in pursuance of this act or of any rule or order made thereunder. Power of central government to give directions. Under section 25, the central government may give such directions as it may deem necessary to a state government regarding the carrying into executing the provisions of this act, and the state government shall comply with such directions. Power to exempt establishment. If the appropriate government is satisfied that, having regard to an establishment or a class of establishments providing for the grant of benefit which are not less favourable than those provided in this act, it is necessary to do so, it may by notification in the official gazette exempt subject to such conditions and restrictions, if any, as may be specified in the notifications. The establishments or class of establishment from the operation of all or any of the provision of this act or of any rule made thereunder. Effect of laws and agreements inconsistent with this act. Under section 27, the provision of this act shall have effect notwithstanding anything inconsistent therewith contained in any other law or in the terms of any award, agreement or contract of service, whether made before or after the coming into force of this act. Nothing contained in this act shall be construed to preclude a woman from entering into an agreement with her employer for granting her rights or privileges in respect of any matter which are more favourable to her than those to which she would be entitled under this act. Under section 28, power to make rules. The appropriate government may, subject to the conditions of previous publication and by notification in the official gazette, make rules for carrying out the purposes of this Act. In particular, and without prejudice to the generality of the foregoing part, such rules may provide for the preparation and maintenance of registers, records and muster rolls, the exercise of power and the performance of duties by inspectors, the method of payment of maternity benefit and other benefits under this Act, the form of notices under Section 6, the nature of proof required under the provision of this Act, the duration of nursing breaks, the acts which may constitute gross misconduct, the authority to which an appeal under clause Section 12 shall lie, the form and manner in which such appeal may be preferred, the authority to which an appeal shall lie against the decision of the inspector under Section 17, the form and manner in which such appeal may be made and the procedure to be followed in disposal thereof, the form and manner in which complaints be made to inspectors under Section 1, subsection 1 of the form and manner in which complaints be made to inspectors under Section 17 and the procedure to be followed by them when making inquiries or causing inquiries to be made. Any other matter which is to be or may be prescribed. Recent amendment in Act. The Ministry of Labour and Employment, Government of India, via official gazette notification dated 31st March 2017 has specified 1st April 2017 as the date on which the Maternity Benefit Amendment Act 2017 has came into force. However, the relevant provision on the work from home option will come into effect from 1st July 2017. The Maternity Benefit Amendment Act had received presidential assent on 27 March 2017 and was published in the official gazette on 28 March 2017. The Maternity Benefit Amendment Act regulates paid maternity leave entitlement and other related benefits for women employed in factories, mines and shops or commercial establishment which are employing 10 or more employees. For ready reference, we have summarized below key amendments introduced in the Maternity Benefit Amendment Act. Increased paid maternity leave. The Maternity Benefit Amendment Act has increased the duration of paid maternity leave available for women employees from the existing 12 weeks to 26 weeks. Under the Maternity Benefit Amendment Act, this benefit could be availed by a woman for a period extending up to 8 weeks before the expected delivery date, and remaining 18 weeks can be availed post childbirth. For women who are expecting after having 2 children, the duration of paid maternity leave shall be 12 weeks, that is 6 weeks pre and 6 weeks post expected date of delivery. Maternity leave for adoptive and commissioning mothers. Regarding this clause, the Maternity Benefit Amendment Act extends certain benefits to adoptive mothers as well as and provides that every woman who adopts a child shall be entitled to 12 weeks of maternity leave from the date of adoption. Regarding work from home option, the Maternity Benefit Amendment Act has also introduced an enabling provision relating to work from home for women, which may be exercised after the expiry of the 26 weeks leave period. Depending upon the nature of the work, women employees may be able to avail this benefit on terms that are mutually agreed with the employer. Regarding the crèche facility, the Maternity Benefit Amendment Act makes crèche facility mandatory for every establishment employing 50 or more employees. Women employees would be permitted to visit the crèche 4 times during the day. Employee awareness. The Maternity Benefit Amendment Act makes it mandatory for the employers to educate women employees about the maternity benefits available to them at the time of their appointment. Friends, I hope you have understood the contents well. You can also refer to other quadrants of this module for testing your knowledge and having some more input on the theme of the module. Happy learning!